Welcome everyone to the Immigration Real Talk. I am Anthony Ray. I'm your host here on the Ray Law International. Joining, good afternoon and good evening to everyone in the Americas. Good morning to everyone in Asia. 皆さん、こんにちは。レイローインターナショナル移民法弁護士のアンソニー・レイです。And so glad you guys can join us today. Now, remember, this time is for you guys to get online, ask questions, share your success, share your concerns, and let us know what is going on. So we're going to give people a few more minutes to get on and connect for this live webinar. And let's see, I think I've got we've got one thing I wanted to put on there. So give people a few more minutes. We just started. We're going to get started. Again, my name is Anthony Ray. I'm one of the immigration attorneys here at Ray Law International. To give you guys a little bit of background, we have 3 offices in Michigan, Chicago, and New Jersey. Through those 3 offices, we work with clients throughout the U.S. and throughout the world. It's really a joy to interact with so many companies from small to large, with everyone with a different focus. So, we really enjoy working with people. We have 3 attorneys. Tomorrow, we'll give you an announcement a little bit later on about what's happening tomorrow morning. You're going to want to stay tuned and check that out. And we have a few more things that we're going to announce. So again, if you guys have questions, immigration questions, success, maybe you got your green card, maybe you were naturalized, go ahead and share those in the chat. Let us know, what happened. Did everything go smoothly? Did you have problems with the USCIS? Tell us some of, the joys, concerns. We want to hear both, a well-rounded side. Not everything in immigration is tough or challenging. There's a lot of things to celebrate. So it's always great to get that green card, get that visa, or be naturalized, being sworn in, and, getting sworn in with 100 people. That's really beautiful. We have a client that's getting sworn in next week in Michigan, and it's just great. They want to invite all their friends and be together, as this is it's a huge milestone in a lot of people's lives. So I think we've got a few people on. While we wait for a few more, anyone out there in E or L2 who received one of those new approval notices with the work authorization, let us know if you received those. We want to hear about some of those. And see if people are starting to receive those. They should be coming in the mail. Also let us know what your HR or your company thought when they saw this on their notice. Were they shocked? What was their reaction? All right, so what we're going to do is get started today. As you guys have questions, go ahead, drop them in the chat box. If not, we're going to go through and talk about the Visa Bulletin today. One of our clients mentioned or asked a question about, what do we think is going to happen with the Visa Bulletin? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to, talk about the Visa Bulletin, what it does, how it works, and let's see, here we go. I'm going to add this. Excellent. Okay, so today we're talking about the Visa Bulletin. And with that Visa Bulletin, as you can see here, the Visa Bulletin is ran by the State Department. Always want to make sure you're on the right website, as I mentioned before, travelstate.gov. And every month, the Department of State, who's in control of the visa numbers, basically they're in control of people, when people get their green cards and how many are issued. So the theory or the concept is the Department of State draws that line. Who can then file? What date do you have? The date that you file your petition, or maybe if you have a labor certification or some other special petition, that's going to be what we call your priority date. That priority date tells you where you are in line. Think of it as a ticket when you're waiting in line at Secretary of State or the DMV to get a service. Used to pull one of those tickets. Now everything is online. You used to pull a ticket and you wait in line. But this is the website you're going to come to every month. So June is already out. The nice thing about this is you get a sort of a preview of what to expect for June. So you can start getting ready for your adjustment of status, which we'll talk about in a minute when we talk about final action dates. And this allows you to move forward. So those who don't know, what is a Visa Bulletin? Again, it's dates and charts that set out here to show when people are eligible to get their green card. Now, this is only for certain categories, and we'll look at those, but we're going to take a look at the June Visa Bulletin. I'm going to take a quick look. As you can see at the very top, it says, what does it say? Visa Bulletin, ran by the Department of State. Next, where do we find it? As I mentioned at that link, travel.state.gov, you can get notifications when these come out. So you don't have to always just go to the website and try to find out or guess when it's going to be available. All right. You can definitely go ahead and get notifications automatically through the Department of State. So sign up for that. Now, how do we read this? It seems really complicated. So under our immigration laws, certain categories, as we have here, family-based categories, and then underneath here we have employment-based categories. These employment-based categories are limited. There's a cap, there's a quota. A lot of Americans feel that, oh, these people are just coming in, taking our jobs. Well, not really, because there's a huge limit of how many people can get their green cards and enter the United States as lawful permanent residents, okay? And anytime I say green card, that's a nice quick way of saying lawful permanent resident or lawful permanent residence, okay? So basically what we do is we look at the Visa Bulletin here, and on your I-130 petition or I-140 petition, or, well, actually it's going to be on both of those, you're going to have a priority date. That priority date is going to be what you're going to use to check up against this chart, okay? So, for example, if we're going to go and we're going to use a lot of, well, let's look at this. Do you see a lot of C's? What does C's mean? That means it's current. There's no wait time, right? But if there's a priority date, then, or a date that's there, that means you got to wait, or at least match those dates up. So, for example, we're going to use China real quick. I know there's a bunch of people out there from India that are into this as well, but we're going to use China. For example, the second employment-based preference category, or EB2, which we call. Anyone who has a priority date on or before March 1st, 2019 here, we're going to highlight that. For China, mainland China, they are eligible to go ahead and get their green card. What does that mean? If you're abroad, they'll continue and proceed with the immigrant visa process. Or if you're in the United States, you can get ready and file that application to adjust status, or Form I-485. It's the date that some of these people have been waiting 5, 10 plus years waiting. And so this is huge. I mean, everyone spends all their time, probably from when they were a student. They've been working at a company or various companies, and this is the pinnacle of what they've been working towards. Again, some people have been doing this for 10 years. They've gotten married, they've gotten kids. I mean, some of these kids are almost in college for some people. That's how long people are waiting, and it is so important. So that's what you do. You look at your priority date, you match it up to here every month to see when you are going to be able to get your green card. For those in India, there's always that switch between the EB2 or EB3. You know, we had a huge rush. Oh, EB3 is going to be quicker, so everyone transfers or, you know, migrates to the EB3. Then EB2 right now, EB2 is kicking butt. We're going to talk about some of the predictions, what I think is going to happen, but EB2 is just moving ahead. So, you know, it's tough. We play that game of going back and forth, but we really don't know. So one of the other things to really pay attention here is this is not the end. Everyone thinks, well, Department of State sets the date. Once I get that date, I can move forward, right? Not exactly. Because this is government and they want to add on more bureaucracy and make us more paranoid, we have to check another website. We have to go back to the USCIS. So we're going to click on here and go to the June Visa Bulletin here. Now, you can print out what we were looking at earlier was the PDF format of the Visa Bulletin for June 2022. But as we go down here, you'll see in between all that little writing that no one really pays attention to, or if you're not familiar, you don't pay attention to it. And underneath here, you'll see, to see if you really can file for adjustment of status, you got to go back to the USCIS. Okay, so we're going to click on that, and it's going to take us right away from the Department of State, but back to the USCIS website. You'll see that website up there. Make sure you're always on the correct government website. And we're going to click on the June website. I'm sorry, excuse me, June. I'll call it the Visa Bulletin for the USCIS, but actually it's sort of the final action dates for employment and the date for filing adjustment of status applications. So we're not going to talk about family-based, but it's the same thing. We're going to talk about employment a little bit today. But you can see here the dates. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time when you can file for your green card, when you can file your 485, is going to be different between the Department of State and the USCIS. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. You have to check both. So when you're back here at the Visa Bulletin, don't just get excited. Here, let's look at, we are in June. Let's double check, make sure. Yep, we're in June. We're going to go down to employment base. All right. And here on the EB2, it says December 1st, 2014. We're going to hop over to the final action dates. And for India EB2, you're going to see it's not December 2014. It's actually September 1st, 2014. So that's why you need to check both. Okay. Don't get too excited just by going to the Department of State website. Now, according to the Department of State, you can move forward. Not a problem. Problem is the USCIS says, nope, we're too busy. We got too many cases. This is where we're at. These are the numbers we have, and this is where we're going to set it. Now, this is a problem with our immigration system when you have two separate departments controlling the same thing, and sometimes we get chaos. Back in 2007, the Department of State just said, hey, USCIS, if you're not going to give us numbers, we're going to make everything current, and they did. And we filed so many green card cases back in 2007. And the same thing happened, I believe it was probably 2019 or 2020, I forgot. But similar things, the numbers just really jumped. And, it was just crazy just trying to file everything. And why is it crazy? Because we only have 30 days to file all this in, right? So if you wait till the next month, they can retrogress. Yes, they can move back forward. You're thinking, wait, don't they always move forward? How can they move backwards? Well, remember, or maybe you don't know, but when we look at this Visa Bulletin here, it's not just focused on the principal applicant. So if a principal applicant has 4 family members, that's 4 visas that's used up for the employment-based category. So you can see when you think you only have 40 people, and you multiply that by 4, I mean, now you're talking a lot of people that are taking up a lot of visa numbers, and that's why it retrogresses. And even though you filed, what happens is the USCIS will say, whoops, the priority date's retrogressed. We're going to take your file, and we're going to set it on the shelf and collect a little dust until those numbers move forward. All right. So that's a little bit about how things work. All right. So just a reminder, you guys, if you have questions about this or any immigration topic or anything you want to comment on or, share with the group and say, hey, that was awesome. That was great. Let us know. Put it in the chat. We're here to really answer your questions. Now, going back, I've got one other topic. So I'm going to give you my predictions before we move on to my next, which is we're going to talk about H-2Bs. But before we get to that, when we look at the numbers, especially in the EB2, okay, someone's asking, hey, where do you see the numbers going? What do you think is going to happen? Honestly, I really tell my clients, you can't do anything until the numbers are there. You got to look at the Visa Bulletin. Let's go to that once again. Whoops, I think it was in May. Sorry about that. I was showing the May ones. This is the June one, so September 2014. You have to look at the Visa Bulletin for June, and then you've got to go to the the final action date for under the USAID's website to see if there's a match or when you can really file. So this is great. People right now, people from India that have a priority date of December 1st, 2014 or earlier, you're good to go. File, contact your attorney, and get that application done. There's a lot of things that need to go together, a lot of documents. Let the attorney put everything together, make sure they scan everything in, make sure they give you a scanned copy of everything they submitted. And you want an attorney that's going to be transparent and going to be really frank and actually communicates with you. That's what we do at Ray Law International. But make sure you get a copy of everything, scanned copy, check everything, make sure there's no typos or wrong information in there, and get that filed timely before the end of June. You have until June 30th, all right? So check that Visa Bulletin. Now, where do we see the numbers going? So from April, moving from the, from May, getting from the May dates to going to June, we're seeing a huge jump under the EB2 category. Okay, so that's great. So oftentimes what I think we see is we see a lot of movement in the EB2 for our Indian nationals, and then we'll see on the second half of the year, we'll see a large movement under the EB3 for our Indian nationals. It's sort of that pendulum. I mean, it goes back and forth. And we hear it all the time. Oops, now EB2's ahead. What can I do to get into the EB2? Oops, now the EB3's ahead. How can I get ahead up to the EB3? It goes back and forth. So I don't think you're going to lose in either of them. As you can see, yeah, let's call it 6 months apart right now between the EB2 and EB3. I don't think you're going to lose too much. Obviously, someone doesn't want to wait a year or 6 months when they can get it now, obviously, but it's all up to you. If you want to pay your attorney to upgrade to EB2, or if you want to switch back to the EB3, the laws are a lot more flexible now for us to do that. And the USCIS is pretty much on top of things. We haven't had any problems in moving people back and forth in order to take advantage of an earlier priority or getting their priority date to move forward. Now, one of the questions out there people may be asking is, wait, doesn't the priority date stick with the EB2? No, actually your priority date is yours, and it sticks with the foreign national, whether you're an EB2 or EB3 or even in another category when we talk about other areas. So priority dates are very important. They're very personal and unique to that individual. So make sure you have a copy of that. If you give it to your attorney so they can save it and it's always available. All right. Any questions out there from our audience? Anybody? Okay. Give me a shout out. Let me know you're out there. Say hi. And we're going to move on to our next topic, which I have prepared for today. So our phone number, if you want to get in touch with us and you want to find out more about our firm, or if you just really need a good attorney to guide or take care of your case because searching the internet really didn't give you any information or guidance, feel free to reach out to us. Our phone number and email address are there at the bottom of the screen. All right. So the other thing I really wanted to highlight and bring to mind for everybody is one of the new things that came out today is our new regulation for those under H-2B. Now, as everybody knows, and a lot of employers out there know, everyone's looking for somebody, right? We're actually looking for people Every business is out looking for people because in the US, for whatever reason, we don't have enough people. It may be immigration, it may be the virus, it may be whatever. We just don't have enough people in the workforce. And there's probably many reasons for that. But setting the reasons aside for that, what our government has done is they've now issued for the H-2B for fiscal year 2022, which is going to end in September this year. They're adding on an additional 35,000 H-2B visas. So for all you employers out there, don't give up just because you weren't selected in the first group. The business community is out there, pushing our elected officials to give us more visas because we need people to work. I mean, everywhere you look, now hiring, everything from fast food to department stores, you name it, everyone's looking for someone. So, 35,000 isn't a lot. Now, considering if we're adding, let's say, 400,000 new jobs a month, 35,000 is really a drop in the bucket. It's not really solving the problem. And remember, one of the news articles on NPR I was listening to was basically said if we keep adding 400,000 new jobs each month, we're going to be pre-pandemic levels of employment really, really soon, which means where's that other 400,000 new workers going to come from? So all you people out there who want a job, whether it's professional, trades, there are jobs out there. And very soon, we're not going to have enough people to fill those jobs if we're adding, 400,000 new jobs per month into the market. So watch those job numbers each month as they come out. Check the unemployment rate, which is still extremely low, the record lows for unemployment. And just keep that in mind. So 35,000 new H-2B visas, great opportunity. The new fiscal year for fiscal year 2023, that's going to kick off real soon. So if you're an employer under H-2B, you can't find a worker, you need to call us so that we can show you how you can get a worker here in 6 months or 7 months to, run your school, run your Montessori, run your restaurant, so you can grow and make money, because without workers, you can't do it. You can't do it all yourself. So if you're looking for workers, and these are usually skilled workers, maybe they have a high school degree, 1 or 2 years of experience, but, get into it. The government's, increasing the visas. The demand's there. We know we need it. So go ahead and do that. They've made some other great benefits for the H-2B for people who've already had H-2B. And under this regulation, they would even allow people to extend their H-2Bs. That's how desperate we are here in the US to keep people here now. Those who are H-2Bs, don't go back, stay here. The government is putting in legislation for you to continue or extend your H-2Bs because we need you guys here. And a lot of these visas are going to be some are going to be set aside specifically for people from Haiti, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. You're going to want to make sure that you watch this. So there's a 60-day question period before this is enacted. So we're going to keep talking about this. It's not over yet. We'll keep you updated as new things come out and when it becomes actually effective for you employers. So for those starting next year, for fiscal year 2023, that runs from October 1st to September 30th, this October 1st to September 30th of next year, you need to start now, okay? So you want to do that, okay? All right, let's see. All right, just a shout out to Cinnamon Rolls Every Day. How you doing? Speaking of, let's see, we have a question over here. Let's see what's going on. We have a few minutes left. Speaking of H-2Bs, are the guidelines still the same as far as hiring within the US before hiring abroad? Cinnamon Rolls, what guidelines are you referring to? Go ahead and give me a follow-up question for that. But there's no regulations that you have to hire here in the US first before you hire someone abroad. Okay. Now, you have to trust the job market, but how many people are knocking on your door saying, I want a job? Okay, not too many. And so there's no requirement because there's just not enough people. Remember, we're adding 400,000 new jobs every month, and we're only, visas, this additional 35,000, that's a drop in the bucket. The total for H-2Bs generally is, I think it's 60 or 66,000, somewhere between there. And they split that up, half in the first part of the year and the second in the second half. So, hey, if there's a U.S. worker out there that wants to work, give them the job by all means. But sometimes, depending on the field you're looking in, it can be really tough. It can be really tough out there. Every week, from trucking, truckers are getting hit hard with not finding enough people. So, no, you don't have to. There's no guidelines that specifically say you have to hire a U.S. person. You have to test the job market. But again, people just aren't applying or not taking up these jobs, or for whatever reason, unfortunately, this whole pandemic thing is unfortunately not over yet. We always want to get that over with, but unfortunately, it's still with us. Any other questions out there feel free. We got just a couple minutes left. And let me see if I had anything else that I wanted to cover and share with you guys today. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming out. So one thing while I wait for any more questions, we are trying to get to our 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So please pass this along, invite people. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. We've got some great videos that are coming out. Oh, before I forget, right before we finish, tomorrow morning we have our regular monthly live stream. You get to see the rest of our team. I mean, the awesome part of our team. And we're going to have it's going to be interesting, a true or false immigration. So it's sort of a quiz. You got to watch this. See if you can get the answers right before the attorneys give our responses. And then you also get to find out a little bit about the people who here where we work. So whether you speak English, Nihongo, or whatever language, we do have people who speak Espanol. So feel free to let us know. Okay. All right. There was a question. For the H-2B, Nigeria is not moving. I just for the H-2Bs, there are limits on which countries can do that. And it's not an easy process, but then again, you really don't have a choice as employers if you want workers. There is ways to do it. Get the guidance of an immigration attorney to help you through that process. And we'll give you updates on H-2Bs. There was a comment here about H-2B, Nigeria is not moving. You probably have to give us a little bit more information about what do you mean not moving, whether your employer's not moving the process forward, or it's not available to you, or you're stuck somewhere. If you're stuck, feel free to let us know. Let us know. And cinnamon roll, yes. I mean, I know hiring abroad is great sometimes, but not everyone. I mean, there's pros and cons to both. Hiring in the U.S., there's a lot of benefits. Hiring abroad, there's benefits on both sides. It really depends on your industry, what you're doing. Maybe it's a bakery or restaurant. There's so many things you as employers or us as employers have to evaluate to see, is it beneficial or not? So yes, it can be. We have people on both sides, and we love our team here. All right, everyone, again, subscribe. We have our monthly live, webinar tomorrow, which is going to be awesome, true and false. You got to be there to see what we're going to talk about. It's a whole array of stuff, and we're going to discuss a few other new current things that are happening in immigration that you're going to want to hear about. We have an EB-5 for you investors out there who want to invest in the U.S. There's a whole lot of changes coming out right now with the changes to the EB-5 program, you're going to want to pay attention weekly and throughout this month as they roll out the new EB-5 program. And, it's a great way to get a green card. It's expensive, 1.8 million, but it's worth it. We have some videos coming out on that. Everyone, you guys have a great day. Good evening. We'll see you next time. Take care. Ciao.